can you describe your perfect beat? Do you have a perfect beat?
I was kind of thinking about it, and I think my perfect beat is the krautrock beat. It's like a kind of Klaus Dinger, Noi, kind of almost like 4/4. But there's either a kick drum or a snare on every single beat. I guess it's also on Paranoid by Black Sabbath, and
Yeah. But that's sort of a Motown beat too, because they used to go
yeah,
bat, 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 bat.
100%,
Can you can
100%.
you can you make a perfect beat? Can you actually do a human beatbox?
Arthur Baker presents Looking for the Perfect Beat podcast.
Hi, this is Arthur Baker, and I'd like to welcome you to the Looking for the Perfect Beat podcast, where I get a chance to kick back, converse, and go deep with some of the most important people in my life that feature in my new memoirs, Looking for the Perfect Beat, which is out in May on Faber and looks back at my career over the years in the music business and all the other shit I got up to in my life. My guest this episode is Stuart Braithwaite from the great Scottish band Mogwai. How are you, Stuart?
I'm very well, Arthur. Great to talk to you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm looking at the sunshine, hoping that the motor blowers and that blow the leaves around this neighborhood don't go on, because occasionally they do, and it screws everything. I know it's really difficult being. Those are my problems in my life in Miami, So yeah, we just saw each other. We hadn't seen each other in many years, and I got to experience a gig and also the film, which was amazing. Really, the way that was put together, really very impressive. And your career is impressive. First question, though, to get back to the perfect beat, can you describe your perfect beat? Do you have a perfect beat?
I was kind of thinking about it. And I think my perfect beat is the krautrock beat. It's like a kind of Klaus Dinger, Noi, kind of almost like 4/4, but there's either a kick drum or a snare on every single beat. I guess it's also on Paranoid by Black Sabbath. And
Yeah. But that's sort of a Motown beat too, because they used to go bat, 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 bat.
100%.
Can you make a perfect beat? Can you actually do a human beatbox? You'd be the first, but I'm wondering if you have that skill.
It's going to be terrible, but it would be like
give it
that kind of thing.
No,
I can play the drums as well, Arthur. I don't know if you know this.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
you never came and played on any of the records. I could have used a good drummer.
Well, I'm not a good drummer. I was a passable drummer, but I did used to play drums.
Were you better than Bobby Gillespie?
You know what? I kind of think Bobby's underrated. I actually think like his playing on those early Mary Chain stuff is genius, and hey, we've both written books, so I guess we know how it goes. And you're
both Scottish, close.
Yeah.
Grew up. Yeah. I was going to ask you about. I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself, but why don't we pull it back a bit, and we'll get back to that, because I wanted to.
Okay.
But do you remember how we first met? I know it was such magic, but
I don't remember exactly. I think I remember probably hearing someone say, "Yeah, Arthur Baker's coming. He likes the band," and
you were saying, "Who the fuck is Arthur Baker?"
No, I knew who you were, and you know what? I was really excited, but it was also like a really exciting time for the band. We were meeting a lot of people whose music had a big effect on us, even people like Bobby that would be around about the same time, and meeting people that, like, I'm such a music nerd, do you know what I mean? And like I know like that some of the stuff that you've been involved with and created is some of the best shit that's ever been made. Do you know what I mean? So like,
thank you.
To find out that you like the band, I was like, wow. But
Well,
but then
I
we
think
met.
it was at all tomorrow's parties.
Right.
I
Okay.
think.
Yeah. That makes sense. That could be it. But then we met and like we got on well too. You're a good dude, and I think we've got pretty similar senses of humor. Like I think,
But being an American, I actually have a sense of humor. That's a new one.
well, I mean, I find the funniest people I've ever met are Jewish American people. Like
That's yeah. Well, we have to be to
you
survive,
have
I
to
guess.
be, yeah, yeah. But yeah,
But
so
see,
yeah, no,
see,
you're a
I
funny
was
Yank.
I always reckon that living in the UK for all those years, I'm sort of my sense of humor is sort of by in a way. I think I've
Yeah.
got a bit of the UK. I mean, I love the humor of UK, including Scotland and
And you've spent a
Ireland.
lot of time with Manx, and Manx
Yeah.
I think Manx are some of the funniest people I met. I mean, they're also quite
Absolutely, and
simultaneously. They can be full of shit as well, but they're very funny with it.
yeah, for sure, and Scottish people aren't bad. Being really good friends with Irvin all these years, Welsh.
Yeah.
I always take the piss out of him. Literally,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
he knows when we're together when we did our podcast, and just in life, I love to give him a hard time.
Yeah.
Because most people are so reverential to him. I'm like,
Oh, I
come on,
bet.
man.
I bet.
All right, so okay, I think we met at all tomorrow's parties. I'm pretty sure. I remember going upstairs to where the bands were staying in this sort of like auto court type of motel rooms. It was sort of
Yeah.
that's my memory of it. And yeah, I mean, I was sort of the band was brought to my attention by my girlfriend at the time. She loved the band, and we went to see you guys, and I was just blown away by that first gig. And then I sort of came back, spoke to your ex-manager and great friend Colin Hardy, who I still talk to occasionally. Working with you hadn't come into my mind in the beginning. It was more like, oh, I love the band. Maybe you could play on some of these tracks I was working on. So it sort of started from there. But before we go down that road, when you growing up as a kid in Scotland, in Glasgow or close to it, you mentioned Gillespie and Jesus and Mary. Were they did that sort of give you motivation to say I could do that? Because local guys Bobby was a chancer, obviously, in the beginning. He had no training or anything, and he just I'm going to be a drummer, I'm going to be a singer. I mean, he had pretty amazing balls, basically. He just talked his way into it. Were you similar in that way? Or?
I think it was subconscious, to be honest. I mean, I just loved the band. I just thought the Mary Chain were such a cool band, and through them I got into Primal Scream, and I think just in the back of my mind, knowing that people from similar towns, or in some cases the same town. I mean, Martin is from East Kilbride. Like they'd kind of made music and kind of done it internationally. I mean, also, when you're a kid, you kind of think that anyone who's made a record is a superstar. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right, and rich also, right?
And rich, all this stuff, and like, that's not the case. You find out later on, but so yeah, I think in the back of my mind when we started our band, I was like, yeah, well, why can't we do something cool? Why can't we make records and go to America and do all these kind of things? So no, it definitely was an inspiration. And also like when we met Primal Scream, which was probably around about the same time we met you, they were super encouraging and like really like kind of, I guess because we were bratty kids, and they probably like
they related
that. Yeah, they related.
Of course they
Do you know
did.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like they were always getting into trouble and stuff as well. So yeah, definitely.
But so your first band wasn't Mogwai. What was your first band? Was there one before?
I was in a band when I was at college called Dead Cat Motorbike. We never made a record or anything, but yeah, the drummer moved to Australia, and the bass player was a 3-piece band, and the bass player, he was into different music, so he started his own band. So like I'd met Dominic, Mogwai's bass player, when we were young teenagers, and kind of kept in touch, and then kind of met again in the local band scene. And I was like, I want to start a band. I want to start like a kind of like a noisy kind of band, and he was into a lot of the same music. So that was how we got going.
And then soon after you met Martin.
Yeah, but I actually knew Martin, but we didn't have a drummer. Me and Dominic had started writing some of the songs, and we actually put an advert in the NME for a drummer. This is kind of funny, and only one person phoned, and he asked what the monthly wage was.
Oh my God! Yeah,
and we were like, all right, it's not that kind of band.
Okay,
And,
don't call us. We'll call you.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually met him years later, and I think he felt like a bit of a fucking idiot for it. But
but that first band, was it always going to be an instrumental band?
No. It was with Mogwai. It was kind of half and half. And then I think a lot of the instrumental songs were just better. I don't think I'm a very strong singer, so I kind of like.
Well, it didn't hurt a New Order, did it? I think you could. I'm sure you could have gone that route, you know.
Oh, maybe. Anyway, people like the instrumental stuff better, so we just kind of veered towards that, and we were getting into a lot of instrumental bands at the time too, like the Dirty Three and Tortoise and bands like that. So it kind of all seemed to make sense.
Right. Now Glasgow has such a great musical heritage. You had all those Barrowlands, which I have a good Barrowland story, King Tut's Wawa Sub Club. So how soon from when you started this band that became Mogwai, I guess, how soon did you actually start gigging? Was it one of those things that you had the idea and within 2 weeks you were gigging? Because that seems to happen a lot in Scotland in bands, you know, like Primal Screaming and Jesus and Mary. They just sort of all of a sudden popped up and were doing gigs.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. I mean, I remember, I'm kind of thinking about this a lot because next month is the 30th anniversary of our first rehearsal.
Fuck.
So that was in June, and I think we played a gig in August.
Yeah, so you didn't, it wasn't like sort of in the garage playing for a year before you unleashed it to the unsuspecting public.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks, but we rehearsed a lot. Like, we used to rehearse we all lived at our parents' house. We had no money. We were just kids. So like we'd either rehearse in my parents' living room or Martin's bedroom. So like we would just rehearse whenever we could. So yeah, it was a fun time. But yeah, it was pretty quick.
Now a question that just sort of came to mind. Did you do any covers, or was it all original when you first started?
No, we did it. We did a couple of covers. We used to play a song by a band, The God Machine. I don't know if you know them. A kind of pretty heavy band. They were Americans, but they lived in London. And we also used to do Joy Division, New Dawn Fades as well.
So nice.
We were kind of padding out.
And do you and your writing? Did you sort of go away? What was your writing process? Did you write riffs and then bring them into the rehearsal, or did you just sort of jam and see how it would go?
A bit of both, but like me and Dominic kind of co-wrote almost all of the early songs. So I would go to his house. His parents had this big house in the suburbs, and we would just go there and like drink his parents' fancy wine collection and like come up with
Were they there, or had they gone on vacation or something?
His dad worked away a lot and his mum went to bed pretty early, so like yeah. but it was such a big house that I don't think we even kind of like annoyed her that much. But
So Dominic
yeah,
he was like the posh one, or
yeah, he's a posh one. Yeah.
okay, I never okay.
He's not even that posh, but he's posher than the rest of us.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that. And okay, so you grew up, you were listening to Joy Division, and I assume Velvet Underground, bands like that.
Yeah.
Now, how about your connection with Iggy? Because when we first met, you made it clear to me that you thought Iggy was pretty cool, and the Stooges.
Yeah.
Were you listening to them at that point too, or?
Oh, 100%. And like, I actually had a really cool guitar teacher. This guy Harry, the guy that first taught me guitar, and this seems almost too hipster to be true, but this is genuinely the case. That one of the first songs he ever taught me was "Heroin" by the Velvet Underground.
Oh, come on!
And
Really?
I'm not joking.
That's amazing that you had a teacher who.
Yeah, because it's only got 2 chords. It's an easy song.
Yeah.
And then when I got a bit better and I knew some scales, I remember him teaching me "Raw Power" by Iggy and the Stooges.
Wow. You were lucky. You had a cool guitar teacher.
I had a
man.
really cool guitar teacher.
He could have been teaching you "Sunshine of My Love" or something.
I mean, that's a good jam.
That's cool too. I know.
But yeah, like or "Smoke on the Water."
Yeah, I can play "Smoke on the Water." So
yeah. But so yeah, I know I was into, and like Iggy is I guess he just kind of, for me, embodies what we now think of as punk rock, like non-square music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like,
no, he was definitely one of the first punks, if not the first punk, actually. You know,
he may be.
He may have been the first punk,
and he's technically an amazing singer too. He's incredible.
Yeah. And a great frontman, and
and I'm
everything.
A huge Bowie fan. All that kind of era, sort of that kind of 70s era, like Kraftwerk, Bowie, Iggy, Eno. You know that. Even though I was barely born when that was happening, I think hearing those in television, that's another band that like
right.
I'm totally obsessed with. So yeah, that kind of stuff kind of was always kind of buzzing about my brain.
But you know what? So when you started making the music and writing, did you still have the technique that you grew into being sort of delicate and then going mental and then delicate? Because that's something that's sort of associated with your music, and most of the people you're mentioning are really sort of balls to the wall. So were you writing sort of more like punk songs, and then you decided, wow, we could do something different and we could sort of drop it and go back and forth? How did that come about?
I think there was a few influences. I mean, one of them was Nirvana. I was a really big Nirvana fan. I kind of was following them before they got huge. So like I was kind of like the week that they Smells Like Teen Spirit went in the charts, I like went to see them twice that week when I was like 15 years old or something. And so they would have big dynamic shifts. And I guess the Pixies as well, another band.
Right.
They would
you're right.
You're
right. They would Nirvana, definitely, yeah.
And that really kind of was something we wanted to do, and also it was fun, you know, and like we kind of took it to the extreme of like going almost silent and then going stupid loud so people would shit themselves, you know.
Well, you know what's funny though? There's a song that you probably I don't know. You may hate it or you may like it, but it was obviously influenced by Nirvana, which was Song 2.
Oh yeah,
by Blur.
Yeah.
Because that definitely, you know, you know, and it's just sort of. I remember that because as a DJ, that was great to play at like the Return to New York parties. Like,
yeah.
Too many DJs would play it, and it was sort of a cool track that something like that could end up and then becoming a bit of it. You know, it was a hit. You know, it was probably the biggest hit in America, and it was just sort of. But they definitely got that from Nirvana for sure. When you look back at it. But you know, when I first heard your music, I thought I'll never forget it because I probably even mentioned it to you. It's sort of like a combination of some of it was like the Mahavishnu Orchestra. I thought in my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever listened to them at all, John McLaughlin.
I think I listened to them because you mentioned them. I don't know the music very well. Yeah,
And the Allman Brothers, which
yeah.
literally has no musical obvious. It isn't really obvious, but at one point when they would jam, if you would go to their sort of jamming bits and they'd get into something, and it just sort of reminded me of a combination of the two. And I remember making loops of like Allman Brothers and Mahavishnu to try to show you why I heard it, but I don't think I ever sent it to you. You would have thought I was mad, but
I remember you playing me a Allman Brothers record.
Yeah,
and I didn't even know who they were, and like
it's amazing because they
good.
They never even made it to Europe though. That's the whole thing.
No, they're not a kind of band that people talk about here.
Yeah,
I guess that there's so much kind of like FM radio rock from America that just never made it over.
But the thing was, but the thing was, Duane Allman was such a fucking great guitarist. Like I mean, you had obviously heard him playing on like Derek and the Dominoes or whatever. You know, it's just sort of he did all those guitar parts. But that was just in my mind, I assume. So basically, blah blah blah. Okay, so you conscious, at what point did you decide it was going to just sort of be instrumental? Was it ever a conscious thing you were going, well, I don't really want to sing, and Dominic can't sing, and Martin can't sing? Was there ever Barry? Barry looks like he could actually sing, you know?
Barry can sing.
Yeah,
Barry's
that's
actually,
what I was.
Barry's actually a really good singer. But
Barry is the keyboardist and everything else in the band.
Yeah, but he joined when we made our second album, so
yeah.
But I'm just kind of thinking the process here. I'm just the type of personality he is. Barry's a very outgoing personality, but he doesn't want the spotlight on stage. You know,
right.
That's not his vibe. So I kind of, yeah. He did sing on one of our songs, which I think is one of our best songs, called "Travel is Dangerous," and he doesn't want to do it because he's like,
he won't do it live. You guys don't play it live.
Yeah, we haven't for a long time, and I think it's because he doesn't want to be the dude at the front.
Right. Well, I guess you do. Not really. You're not really.
I just kind of ended up being the guy at the front.
But mostly you say thank you.
Yeah, I say thank
mostly
you. Mostly
you don't really go into long speeches on stage.
Well, every time I do, it goes terribly wrong. Like I'll think of something funny to say, and then I'll say it, and like people will just look at me as if I'm insane. One time we were playing in New Zealand, and we hadn't played there for years, and I don't know if you've been in New Zealand recently, but they've got all this.
I've never been. I can't say I've ever been.
It's a cool place. It is a cool place. But in the airport, they've got all this Lord of the Rings shit, like Gandalf and hobbits and all this stuff. And like I made a joke on stage. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry for not being here for years. The last time you hadn't like rebranded your country as Middle Earth. I thought it was kind of funny, and like no one laughed. Like I just like said the worst thing ever. So yeah, I try and keep it
but
to,
they don't.
to a minimum.
They probably don't. They probably don't have senses of humor there anyway. New Zealand, they're so far away from everyone else.
Or my accent's too thick; they didn't even understand what I was saying.
That too. Now, so there was never a conscious decision to say we're going to be instrumental and just go with it, or it just sort of happened.
Arthur. I mean, I think it just kind of goes on a song by song basis, and like most of the songs work without having vocals, and.
Right.
More and more, I've written a few songs that are more trad, kind of verse chorus with vocals, but even those ones, like I'll probably write 4 and 1 will end up being good. Do you know what I mean? It's not
right. Well, you're more critical. Well, you're more critical about putting yourself out and actually, talking to people in that way. I guess I don't know. I'm just making assumptions. If you don't do a lot of vocals, that the ones you do better be fucking good, right?
Yeah,
I would guess. I would guess that. So you guys were playing in Scotland a bit, and when was the first gig you did in like London? When did you finally get to London?
We opened for another Scottish band that were kind of around at the same time as us, called Urusai Yatsura, and the gig was in the Monarch, which became quite close to where you used to live, actually, which became the Barfly.
Yeah, I used to go there all the time. Yeah,
and Martin at this point had a job in a Chinese restaurant.
I remember it well. I actually ate at that Chinese restaurant.
Did you?
And let me say, it didn't bring me back to Hong Kong in any way.
Oh, right.
No, we ate there. He took us to eat when we were working on the track.
Did he? Oh, man, I can't even remember.
Yeah. He was very proud, and he was very proud of it too. But
Right. So he needed to get to work to open the restaurant the next day. So we drove down to play the show, and I don't think we even stayed to watch the headliner. I think we just like got in the car. I think we'd borrowed my mum's car and drove straight back to Glasgow.
Well, with all the gear,
we didn't have that much gear because we borrowed amps and stuff. So we just had like guitars and a few pedals and cymbals or whatever. So
and he made it back to serve some questionable Chinese the next day.
Yeah.
That Chinese man. I mean, I'm not going to diss Glasgow, but back in the day, the food wasn't. I mean, you could get good steaks there for sure, but the Chinese, the Chinese would have been. And what were the fried fudge bars or something? What was that? I vaguely
deep fried Mars bars. That's
the Mars bars.
You need to talk to Irvin Welsh about that. We don't do that over here.
Oh, you don't do that? That's Edinburgh.
Yeah, that's Edinburgh.
Okay. I don't want to insult you. So you played in London, and when did you? But as far as like how quick did you get a booking agent? Are you booking yourself? I know How did that process go to get things going?
Yeah, we were booking ourselves, but I'd actually remember I was talking about I can play drums, or did play drums. I'd made a few connections going to London with the band I played drums in. So like through people.
Wait. No, you didn't mention you actually played drums in a band that actually went to London. Okay.
Yeah.
What was that? Okay.
The band was called Eska. Actually, the bass player in that band, Kenny, now does Mogwai's live sound. So like,
he does. Okay.
Yeah, so I still know all these people and
all the people you started. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was that? What was that band like? You didn't. I'm curious.
That was more. That was like a kind of fast American style indie rock band. Like Colin, the singer, his favorite band, Superchunk. So it was kind of. It was kind of fast. It's probably the fittest I've ever been because I had to play all these fucking fast songs on the drums.
and then you had the choice to stick with them or do your own thing. Did that sort of happen?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have the time, so I think I probably just. And I'm also, joking apart, not that good a drummer. Like I think they kind of needed to get like someone. I didn't even know what a drum.
I'm sure you would have got better. You would have got better with practice, right? I mean,
I didn't know when a drum kit. It's also a pain in the ass setting up drums.
Okay, so then you focused on Mogwai, and where did the name came from? The Mogwais in the film, or no? How did you get the name?
Film. That's just from the Gremlins film.
Right,
but we didn't even know it was a real word, which is pretty good because if it wasn't a real word, we probably would have got sued. So
right. What? Okay, so they didn't own the rights to it because it was a real word.
No, because it's just a word. Yeah. So
okay, so you're playing these gigs, and then you get an agent, or you decide to make a record. I know in the documentary, which is if Stars Had a Sound, is that the name of it, right? Yeah, I remember that. That's pretty good.
We got a booking agent at the end of 1996. So like we'd put out our own 7-inch on our own label, done some other things on some other little labels, and then we got this booking agent, Mick Griffiths, who booked My Bloody Valentine, which was a really big deal for us because they're one of our favourite bands. And actually, Mick died a couple of years ago, but after he died, I found out all this other cool shit. Like he used to, he booked the Gun Club in the 80s.
Wow.
He when he was a promoter, he put on Can. You know, like
wow.
he can. Yeah, he was a dude.
Yeah, he had the heritage. He had the heritage.
Yeah. In fact, I think at one point he booked Primal Scream too, but I think they had a messy fallout. But I mean, that's the music industry for you, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, you put out your own record, and then did you go? You never went the route of trying to get a big deal in London, right? You never did that.
Nah.
Could you discuss the thought behind that? You just said, nah, I don't want to deal with it, or?
I guess we met some people, but our friends, Paul Savage, who did you, Paul, when we were recording?
Yeah,
maybe did. So Paul Savage, who played in the band the Delgados, they had this label, Chemical Underground, and they were starting to do really well. They'd got like this band Bess in the charts, and like they put out this Arab Strap record, and we really loved Arab Strap.
I knew. I was familiar with the label for sure.
So like they just asked if we wanted to sign, and we were like, yeah, well, like you could see Celtic Stadium from their office. We were like, this is a
good place to be.
Yeah, this is all good. They put out our first couple of records, and then we signed to Play It Again Sam Records, PS.
Now, how was that? When you were with the first label, Chemical Underground, you had total creative control on that one? Or?
Yeah. We've always had that, to be honest. I think that was one of the things too, Arthur. Like, because I mean, back in the 90s, there was a lot of money in the music industry, you know?
Right.
So, like, labels were pretty powerful. Like, and we'd known friends of ours who'd signed record deals. Like, terrible shit had happened. Like, they'd never released the record. I heard that happened to quite a few bands. Or they make them fucking record it 10 times. Do you know what I mean? Like, just...
yeah.
And everyone's out of their minds on fucking drugs, so the decisions they're making are not good decisions.
Right.
Whereas we were just like, well, if we
Yeah, but then you went to wait a minute. Then you went to Play It Again, Sam, and you worked with a friend of ours, John Niven. So you cannot you cannot claim that drugs were not being done at that office. Because I was at the office.
That is true. It was. I mean, he wrote that book, Kill Your Friends, and pretty much everything in the book is true apart from the murders. But I'd say John was scared of us, so he wasn't going to fucking tell us what to do.
Was he really? Okay, because that may have been when I really met you, because I knew Niven. And when did you go to Play It Again, Sam? When did you go to PIA? Yes,
2000.
Okay, no, we had already. No, yeah, I knew you way before that. But
we would have been down in London a lot more, so probably
then he got
hanging out more often. And,
because
100%.
That's sort of when he got involved. I remember. Damn, I think I was going to do something with them, and it didn't happen. But yeah, it was pretty mental. That book really is pretty true, and I've had some late nights with him and Irvin Welsh together.
I bet you have.
Which is in Miami, though. In Miami, so it wasn't all that. It was, probably more dangerous in Miami. But so you went to that label, and then was there a discernible difference in how things went? Did it move the needle at all, or what happened?
I think it moved the needle a bit. I think there was more resources. Like that third album, we like spent months recording it, whereas up until then it was like
it had been weeks.
It would have been weeks, and I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing for a band like us. I think we're good at just getting. I
think you can overthink things. I mean, if I mean, obviously you can go down the rabbit hole,
Yeah.
and
I mean, I bet you've been involved in records that took far too long.
God. Well, you know what? It used to be in the beginning, you'd only have like enough money for like 10 hours of studio time.
Yeah.
And even with Planet Rock, we went in for 8 hours, and then Tom Silverman, when he heard what we had come up with, he said, I'll get you another 8 hours. So we did that record in probably like 20 hours total. But, when you start having your own studios or access to money, then it could go forever, and it's sort of...
It's how long's a piece of string?
Yeah, I mean, bands having access to their own studios, it could be great or it could be the worst thing because you don't have to, there's no pressure to finish anything. And, unless you have a tour, that's another way of speeding up the process of finishing an album.
The album finished.
Yeah, because 100%. I worked on a Hall & Oates album, Big Bam Boom, and they had a tour booked, and it was a huge tour. And they had to have the record done. They were going. Yeah. We were working on it till 2 days before the tour, and then it was done. And they should have had 2 more songs. It was a mistake, but I mean, the album sold 2 million, but with 3, but with another single, it would have sold double. But Tommy Mottola was like, no, they got to go on the road, and it didn't work out. And the whole idea of someone like Bernard Sumner having like his own studio, or not just him, other people who write their own stuff at home, you could just go on forever, So I think it could be a bad idea. I think. I mean.
Yeah, I also have a kind of philosophical view, which I don't know if I'm sure you would probably agree that a record has to be a snapshot of the time it was made. So if you're like, if this record's taken 5 years.
So what time is it the snapshot of?
Yeah.
Is it the last minute or the first minute?
Exactly. Like I don't. A record should not take more than a couple of months, and even that I think is pretty extravagant. Also, there's so little money in records these days that like no one's going into the studio for a year. That.
Yeah. I mean.
Back in the 80s, that was probably pretty normal.
Yeah, I mean, big bands could go in indefinitely, but a lot of bands had like a budget, and you'd have to sort of live by it. But we're talking about that, and I've got this album I'm going to put out, which I made in London, which you're playing on a few things on there, and that's I started that in '98, and it's going to come out. It's going to come out in October, and it's sort of like I'm trying to keep it as a snapshot of 1989, 90, 2000 of London, of what I was doing. So I don't really want to remix it. I just want to master it and just get it out as it was, because
is that from the session that's on the charity compilation as well, Arthur?
What the that track, that you're on. That was the Pharoah Sanders track.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Love Him, which is it's out now on Red Hot org. It was a charity record for trans. It was sort of a trans album for trans people, and Sade has a child who's trans, and she did her first song in years on that project. And one of the songs is a track I did that Stuart plays on, and also Hooky, and it was with Pharoah Sanders, and it's called Love Him. And that is the original mix, just mastered, because basically I hadn't saved it as stems. It was all bits in a computer program. I mean, I have your parts, all the guitars and everything were performed to like a rough mix. So I've had all those, but the rough mix I just couldn't recreate the way as good as it was. So
it sounds great though.
It sounds right. It sounds good, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it sounds great. And it's funny as well. Like, I mean, I guess I was like such a little kind of punk kid back then. I didn't really know who Pharoah Sanders was.
Right.
And obviously now I know so much more about music, and it's like, oh my God, Arthur's put me on a fucking record with one of the greatest musicians of all time. This is amazing.
And Peter Hook, one of the...
And Peter Hook. Yeah, exactly. Like, It's right.
And I think Manny's on there too.
Yeah, there's a
Manny
lot.
was on playing. There's like 5 different bass lines going on.
And Kieran Hampton's on it.
Kieran's on it too. Yeah. I mean, Kieran's on another. There's the other track called Spirituality, and he's on that track also. But let me sort of so basically, when I met you, and I really loved you playing, and I loved the band, and I had you come down to. I was starting a project with electronic with Johnny Marr and Bernard Sumner, and I wanted to introduce new musicians to the vibe of what they were doing, because this shit was sounding. I'm not saying it was sounding old, but I thought it maybe inspire them. I was actually trying to be a proper producer on that project, which went fucking horribly wrong at one point. Yeah. But and I had you guys come in and sort of jam. And do you remember that, or you must remember that? Or not really.
Well, with them in the studio.
Yeah, didn't you come in? Didn't you come in and it was at Rack Studio? You didn't come in.
I don't think they were there. Or
was
though.
It?
Like
Mickey Mo's studio, Rack.
Yeah.
So you didn't come.
I remember coming down and playing, but I don't think they were there. Because I would have.
Oh, maybe we were just playing over some of the track.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah,
Arthur, if you'd handed me a guitar in front of Johnny Marr, I would have lost my shit.
Yeah. Okay.
That would have been fucking terrifying.
Yeah, I think that might have been it, because I think, yeah, you would remember that one. Yeah.
I've met him, and he's one of the nicest people I've ever met. But yeah, he's up there with one of the best guitar players.
Yeah, no, he's amazing, and yeah. So basically, I did that. I guess Fridge came in, maybe just Karen came in, but he has a mix of something he overdubbed on, and but he came to Rack for sure. Okay, but you started coming in because I guess you were in town more at that point.
Yeah.
But you came in. I was working on this album, and one of the tracks was something called Real Fucking Noise, which you definitely played on. I have a video of you playing on that, which is pretty funny because you're doing all your fucking theatrics with your pedals, and you were wearing a really. It must have been cold because you were wearing some sweater. You were wearing like a really old school sweater. I'll have to send you a photo of it. And that was at Mayfair Studios in Primrose Hill.
Yeah.
And then we basically worked on that, and then I had this idea. No, then you played on the Pharaoh thing. So that was all around that time. Because the Pharaoh thing, I had recorded in 98. That's when the whole project started.
Uh-huh.
But then I had this brilliant idea for you guys, for Mogwai to play this track I wanted to do for my album at the time. It was because I was making the album was going to be this really spiritual album, and I had done something with Witchy Tai Tai, and a Native American song by Jim Pepper, and you played on that also. So I was trying to do a real concept album, which ended up going out the window. But I had this song that I had grown up with called Avinu Malkeinu, which was which was a Jewish hymn for Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement. And it had been one of the first pieces of music I really remember hearing as a young kid. So I come up with the idea, God, Mogwai would sound amazing playing this song. It just came to me. And I went in I had my Steinberg bass, and I was actually playing a lot with all those Pharoah Sanders songs I played, and then I looped it. But I came up with some decent ideas on it. And then I remember going to the post office in Primrose Hill and sending you this cassette. And then you got it, and a few days later we got on the phone and you were into it. What did you think of my demo, first of all? And then I guess I had sent you a copy of the song that I had gotten off the internet, or probably whatever. But
I just thought it seemed a really cool idea. Like I'd never heard the hymn, but the hymn was really powerful, really like grand and emotional, and like the riff you were playing was really good. I was looking at your book as well. That was Tina from Talking Heads bass.
Well, she had when I worked with her, she got me that bass. I mean, it wasn't her bass. It was like, if you want to play bass, well, she was using that bass, and then she was like, I said, I really want to be a bass player, and she said, well, you should get this bass, and she helped me get one at a.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah. I just love the idea. I like the riff. We'd never done anything like that. I mean, we'd done like some covers, but this was on a bigger scale. This was like we're gonna kind of create something from these melodic
ancient
components. Ancient hymn, really fucking powerful, big thing. And and then you came up and recorded with us a couple of times. Was there not chat at one point of you getting Perry Farrell to sing on it?
You know what? Now that you say it, I had totally forgot that. I did, because I know he was Jewish, and I somehow that came into. You're right. I had totally forgotten about that, but I was really trying.
That was part of the chat, and like. Jane's
was
addiction.
It okay?
Yeah,
you guys do it. I'm getting Perry Farrell. Yeah.
And like I love Jane's Addiction. All of us do. Like they're one of our top bands. So like the whole thing was just cool, and like we'd been enjoying hanging out with you. There was no downside, And then then I just sort of lost focus. As if you read my book, Looking for the Perfect Beat, that's sort of a running theme of having ADHD and sort of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. And so basically what happened was we went up once, and I worked on that version, and that version is the one I'm going to it's going to be on the album. It's just sort of much more civilized, as you should say. And it just sort of has strings, and there's some like, not harmonica. There's sort of, there's like French horn. I don't know. It's more produced in a different way. But then I went up again, and we did it again. And that version, I think, was great because I have that on the film. I have that film, but the multi-tracks have been long lost, unfortunately. That's so annoying.
The second one, wait, the first one, was that, both of them were recording studios?
Yeah, one was
Kava.
And the other one was, it was called MCM. It was the Chemical Underground studio.
Right, because the first one we went to was that one, right? That was the first one we went into.
Because I remember another thing about that as well. Like you wanted to edit something, and like I think it was Andy was the engineer. He's a good dude who'd recorded with us quite a lot, and like you just like pulled out a razor and started like chopping up the tape. Yeah, and like I guess
they were freaking out, or what?
He'd never seen anyone do it.
Oh yeah,
because I mean. That's a kind of lost art, isn't it?
That's what we used to do that. I mean, everyone would do that really, but
that was Pro Tools before computers.
That was pre-Pro Tools. Yeah, we would just cut the tape. But that first session is that the one that you're wearing the gaffer tape on your headphones?
No, I think that's the second one.
Okay, that's it. Because if it had been the first, I probably wouldn't have come back.
Because we looked insane.
Yeah, because basically Stuart and I think it was Martin's idea. I think he did it first.
Okay.
I don't think it was you. And I come to the studio, and their headphones are taped with gaffer tape so they won't fall off. And that's actually in the film, in your documentary. And you didn't seem to remember how that. I thought it was something you always did, and I from what I've been told now. You just did it that one time.
Yeah, it's the only time.
Is that true? Is that the only?
I've never remembered.
And I've captured it, and now it's in your documentary forever.
Yeah, it's also in your book. I saw you've got the picture of me with my fucking looking like a psycho. Yeah, I love it.
I know. I think it's a great photo though. But so here's the thing. So basically, that track what happened was we did the first recording. Then you guys were playing it a bit. You were playing it out a bit. So we went back in and did it again.
Yeah.
And obviously that was definitely better. And I had that on multi-track, and it was at my manager's office, and no one seems to know what happened to it. Unfortunately, that's really sad. But then you guys kept playing it, and I sort of lost focus on my record, and then you end up like going in and cutting it with Steve, the late, unfortunately late Steve Albini.
Yeah.
Could you talk about how that all happened and
Yeah, so I mean,
because I don't remember being part of any of those discussions.
no,
you know?
I know. To be honest, that was probably kind of rude of us. But like, I guess it'd become like a live thing. We're doing it live, and we'd actually also tried to do it with Dave Fredman while we were recording our third album.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, probably just because the vibe of that album was very different from that song, but that didn't happen. So I guess we were just like, okay, we would just want to record this live, and
Yeah.
and Steve Albini's whole fucking shtick was just recording bands live.
Record it, yeah.
Yeah, like stick the mics up, get a good take, and
And that's it.
Yeah, and Steve he came to London, and
And strangely enough, you used the studio where I had done all the work, like with Pharaoh Sanders, and where you
right,
would play.
yeah, that's right, yeah, that's
Mayfair
totally right.
Studio. So where the idea was born, because I lived in a Muse house right on the other side of the Muse, the Muse in Primrose Hill. And then when you went in, you actually came back to where the whole idea, without knowing it probably either.
Yeah, no,
So
totally. And like, yeah, we were there with Steve for like 2 or 3 days or something, and he ate nothing. But actually, this story seems less funny now because he died young, or died younger than
he should have.
he should have. But all he ate was hobnobs for the entire 3 days.
Healthy diet, well balanced.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know if you knew Steve at all, but
I knew him. I didn't know him at all. I never even met him.
He was a funny fucker as well. He was a kind of pretty interesting but very funny guy. So yeah, that was a good experience. But that's cool that the other version's going to come out too as well. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's I'm just using that one that we did, and that's how that. Yeah, but then I didn't hear you. God, when I think the first time I heard it live, at least I think it's what I've said in the book, and it's probably true, when at the Fuji Rock Festival.
Oh yeah.
In Japan.
Yeah.
And you guys, I happened to be there. I was traveling with New Order for some reason. I wasn't DJing. I wasn't doing shit. I was just sort of hanging with them.
Yeah.
And we came up on the train, the Bullet Train, and Neil Young and Billy Corgan was playing. That was that tour. He played with them. I don't know if you remember. He played with them for a tour. Yeah,
right,
he did a whole tour with them, and he was friends with Neil Young, so we were hanging out with Neil Young a bit. And then when I got to the gig, you guys were there, and I went to see you play. And then at one point, you say something like, I think you said Arthur or something, and then you play it. It was the first time I had heard it live.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
I have that on a video. I videoed
that's
it too,
cool.
which is sort of
that's really
sort of cool. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because as part of you. It became part of your story because you've been playing that song for over 20 years, right?
Yeah. I mean, we literally, our tour finished like 4 days ago. We played it in Dallas. Like, it was the last song on the last night of the tour.
Yeah,
so.
And it's obviously it makes me feel really good that the idea has had a life of its own, and that it became this amazing piece of music. And in your film, it's amazing because Anthony cut between all these different versions of it, and
I loved in the film as well, like that he's got so much of the like religious footage as well of like
Well, it gives a history a bit of it. I thought
Yeah.
he did a. I mean, as I said before, the film is great. There's so many stories in that film. That's
Yeah.
and just when you think it's over, you guys get number one.
Yeah, I know.
No,
Yeah, we didn't see that coming.
now I asked Anthony if it hadn't gone number one, if he would have kept all that stream in there, and I think he probably would have. I love the guy with the tank. That was good. The rapper. There was a rapper who was competing for number one. He drove around London in a tank.
Yeah.
So I mean, people should see the film for sure. But with that song, basically, obviously, at this point in time, being Jewish and being part of that culture is not an easy thing to navigate. And we recently had a talk about it, and I thought it was really interesting because, I'm being real. It's my podcast. I'm going to be real about things. And, the whole thing with Gaza and Palestine, I think it's a tragedy and a disaster, which came out of another disaster. But to me, an eye for an eye isn't how I personally live my life. Mm-hmm. So, when we had that discussion, and I just wanted you to know that I take it very seriously, but I think that I'm the Netanyahu is no better than Trump. He's probably worse, and I just can't.
Yeah.
I don't agree with what they've done,
No, it's terrible. It's terrible, and I think what I find disturbing. I mean, I find a lot of it disturbing, but they're almost using your religion as a shield for all this bullshit. Which
and
who's
the thing
helping?
is,
who's that helping?
and the thing is, a lot of Jews are obviously against that, and I mean, I can't not say that what was done to the people at the festival and all that was fucking a tragedy, and it was as bad as anything. But I personally don't. I had these kind of discussions with my dad 30 years ago, which is 40 years ago, 50 years ago, which is really sad because I'd always say we should be better than that, and then people go, well, why should we be better than that? And I think, well, we should. But Netanyahu is just doing. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about his people at all. He wants to stay out of jail.
He's trying to keep himself out of jail, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like he's got all these charges. Yeah. It's kind of like when Margaret Thatcher invaded the Falklands. Do you know what I mean? It's just to like boosts your political capital if people are less likely to go after you if you're seen to be like engaged in a war. It's just.
Yeah, no, but it was obvious that he was going to do that, and people have just sort of fallen into it. But then again, anti-Semitism is obviously 100% wrong, and that's what disturbs me because I think people are associating all Jews around Netanyahu and what they're doing, and that's like the furthest thing that should be happening. And he's putting the entire religion in danger for more anti-Semitism, which so that's why it's sort of a difficult topic for me because I go, it's been massive death of children is not acceptable in any way to me. It's not, and but the bottom line is it's just. But you can't blame the Jewish religion for it. It's like
no.
It's like blaming every American for something that Trump might end up doing. I mean, we did vote him in, of course, but Jews didn't vote in Netanyahu, and Netanyahu should actually be in jail now. So it's sort of. But moving on, did you ever? Right. Okay. Yeah. So basically, when you went in with Albini and you cut the track, and basically, I don't know. Actually, at that point, what year was that? That the song you ended up naming Alvino Maceno into My Father, My King, and
Yeah,
what year did that take place? Do you remember?
I believe that was 2001. And I actually think that we kind of messed up as well, because I think the translation is Our Father, Our
It is
King.
Our Father, Our King. Yeah,
Yeah, so typical fucking Scottish idiots, we fucked up.
yeah. That was sort of yeah. I was like, yeah, but they could do that. That's okay. But then I'm trying to remember if how I found out about it, and I think by that time you were with Niven, right?
Yeah,
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 so it was probably that's when I probably met Niven dealing with all of that because basically, yeah, I'm sure it was that, and then the record came out and it did. People loved it actually, and I don't know if people. I mean, people were hearing it when you were playing it live. So you played it for years, a few years before you actually recorded it and released it. Was there any sort of when it came out? Was there sort of a buzz that was it promoted like, oh, that's their encore track that's never been
yeah,
released? Or
yeah. I think so, and I think it was kind of like there was actually when our third record came out, the one that Niven signed us for. A lot of people were like, "Why is that song not on it?" Like people just expected that song to be on it,
right,
but
right.
I can't remember why it didn't work out with Dave Fredman. I don't know. I think it just maybe was very different. We were trying a lot of different
Well,
things, and it just what didn't kind of fit. It felt
also
like
it
it
was
should
like
be its own
also it was
record.
like 20 minutes long, so you couldn't
Yeah,
have you couldn't have put it on vinyl. It would have made your record double album, which. But then it came out on its own, and then it did. It. I looked on Discogs recently, and the vinyls like goes for a shitload of money now.
oh, really? Oh, it
Yeah,
got reissued, but maybe the old one's worth money. We should have kept a box.
no, definitely. I've actually found some boxes of old singles I put out in like 1978 that now are worth 50
Really?
50 pounds a single, or they were at one point. Now,
Yeah.
not so. All right, few last questions. Iggy, would you? I know at one point we talked about trying to get him to do a song with you. Would that still be something you'd want to do, or did you
That
do?
that is something that we are trying to make happen right now.
Oh wow, look at
Yeah,
that!
yeah,
I'm
yeah. There's an exclusive. Um,
because
yeah,
I've talked to Henry about it in the past, and like I would love to see that happen. But here's the one thing: if it does happen, you have to let me do a remix.
oh yeah, I promise. Yeah, we'll do
That's
it.
that we I have to get on remixing that because I've never actually worked with Iggy legally. I did like a sort of a bootleg of one of his tracks, and it never came out. But that would be amazing. That would be
Yeah,
amazing
and you
if
know what, Arthur? It's quite an upbeat tune. I think it would actually kind of suit your kind of
suit a suit a
style.
suit a
Yeah,
re-
yeah, yeah, yeah.
suit a remix. So that would be great. Let me see. Okay, here's a few random questions. I thought this is a really good question. It's totally geared for you. Who's your favorite Beatle? If you have a favorite Beatle.
I think it's John Lennon. I think it's. I think. Yeah, I think he's my favorite. And I more for his solo records, like
Right. Yeah,
the
yeah. I'm
plastic.
not. I'm not saying his Beatle records. I mean, who
Yeah,
was your
yeah,
favorite
yeah.
guy? Yeah,
I think the Plastic Ono Band is like
because yeah,
such an important record.
he was a. I mean, he went off and made punk. I mean, that shit was crazy.
Yeah,
Those records.
yeah. No, he's. Is this because we booed Paul McCartney?
Yeah, yeah. Because I knew it wasn't going to be Paul.
You know what?
I thought it might be. I thought it might be George, maybe because he did the Bangladesh concert. Maybe that could have been something.
Well, and also like Ringo's now like says that Liverpool's a shithole and all that stuff.
But let me just fill in. I mean, everyone should go pick up my book, and you can read about this. But I was at like the NME Awards, the Brad Awards, and Mogwai should have got an award for Brad of the Year that night because literally McCartney got the Exalted Genius of the Year, whatever it was called, and everyone got up, and except the table I was at with the Mogwai guys, and Shaq was sitting behind us, and basically Shaq, I don't know if you remember it, but they were like, get up,
yeah,
and it almost broke out. It was pretty funny.
But you know, Martin remembered another detail about this.
Okay, well, I'd love to know because my podcasts fill in the holes of the book. Because when I talk to people involved, I should have done this before I wrote the book. But go ahead.
This isn't a super exciting detail, but it kind of explains why we were being such assholes. But there was a choice of who was going to win the godlike genius, and the other choice was Nirvana.
Oh, okay.
They're like our fucking teenage favorite band. So
okay, I did not know that.
I'm like a fucking animal rights vegan guy now. So actually, I kind of have pretty warm feelings towards Paul McCartney. maybe his records aren't my cup of tea too much, but I don't care. Like he's probably a nice guy, you know, like whatever. But yeah, I think we just wanted Nirvana to win.
Right. Okay, I didn't know that. That actually now makes sense.
But we were still being dicks.
Yeah. It was really funny though. It was because the guys from Shaq were out of control. I mean, I actually loved. They had one record out at that time, and they had actually come back from being like total burnouts, and they had made a great record. So, but okay, the 3 questions I forgot to ask you. What was your first? Which we could probably cut in at some point. What was the first gig you went like a real like? Who was the first band you saw like a real band?
The Cure. I saw The Cure in 1989 on the Prayer tour when they had the Disintegration album come out at the big kind of arena in Glasgow, and yeah, it was amazing. They're still one of my favorite bands, and
then you actually were you did a tour with them, right?
Yeah, they took us out on tour in 2004, which was like just kind of incredible getting to see them every night, and they're unbelievably hard-working band too. So like they would have like a setup to like rehearse obscure songs they hadn't played in 20 years, and then like throw these songs in the encore. Like so many bands kind of just play the same songs every night, and it's kind of so predictable. But like no, they're really inspiring in a lot of ways.
Did you ever play with them? I mean, go on and play with them? Do guys do that anymore? Like,
yeah, I've done. I've not with The Cure. I played a song with Dinosaur Jr. and I played a song with Pavement a couple of years ago, which was cool. But I actually just did a remix for The Cure, which kind of consisted of me playing over the fucking song. So I feel like I have, even though I wasn't in the same room.
Right. Okay. Just a few more. When did you? I may have asked you that, but I didn't check it off here. At what point did you feel like you could actually make a living doing music? And what did your family think about you doing music? Those are like 2 that.
Yeah. Well, my family were always cool with me doing music. They're pretty like liberal people, pretty kind of hippie mindset kind of people. Like,
right.
If I'd said I wanted to be a butcher, they'd probably be like, yeah, go and enjoy yourself being a butcher. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
So they're just glad for me and my sister to be happy what we're doing. As far as when I knew, probably when I bought a house, because then I was like, shit.
Like, when was that?
That would have been early 2000s, probably.
Right.
So like, yeah, just kind of like, right, okay,
Right.
I need to. It's not like sleeping on someone's floor or whatever. This is like I'm a grown adult now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. My dad kept saying, "You're going to go back to school, right? At some point."
Yeah.
He was like,
it's never too
"When are you
late,
going to go
Arthur.
back to school and get a real job?" You know?
It's never too late.
Yeah. Well, it's too late now, actually.
No, well, yeah, I was joking.
What was I going to say? And you know what? I was listening to a podcast recently, and they were talking about Primal Scream and how Primal Scream at one point, really early on, said that they were the best band in the world. They felt they were.
Yeah.
Is that a Scottish thing? Did you? At what point, or was there a point when you were like, "We're the best band in the world," or is that something like Bobby would say, or not you guys? Did you feel that? Did you ever feel like we're the best band in the world?
I maybe felt we were the best at what we did.
Right. Okay.
Like,
that's close
do you
enough.
know what I mean? I would never be like. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
do you mean fucking? We can't play as fast as Slayer. Do you know what I mean? Or like,
Right.
or like, I'm not
In your lane. In your lane.
in our lane. Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt. Yeah. I was pretty confident, but also I'd maybe not say it publicly, even though I'm now saying it in a podcast.
Bobby said it publicly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. But man, this has been great. Really, thank you very
Thanks,
much,
Arthur.
man.
I've had a blast. I've got a bit of a sore throat, so apologies if I sound a bit weird, but yeah.
No weirder than usual, man. and not as bad as Welsh, because I still can't understand half of the things he says. You know.
Oh, those East Coasters.
Yeah.
All those weird words.
Yeah. Well, thank you. This has been Arthur Baker looking for the perfect beat. I'm still looking, searching, seeking, finding. And my guest has been Stuart Braithwaite and Mogwai. And until next time, see you later.